So some people asked me what they should be doing for their defense setting. So this video is just a quick guide on what you should be thinking when you're setting your defense. So this GAC has 5v5 teams plus ships, which means that we will have one ship zone, probably with one fleet to set, and 7 ground teams. So let's start with fleet since it's the easiest. It kind of depends on your fleet roster, honestly. For me, I have a 7-star negotiator, a 4-star finalizer. I don't have Radis or Malevolence yet. I haven't really played around with finalizer either, so using him on offense, I don't feel very comfortable at this stage. So that leaves me with the next best 2 capital ships. We have the Home 1 and the Negotiator. Now, some people put Negotiator on defense and go with Akbar on offense. It can work if you get lucky. If they set their Negotiator as well, you're kind of screwed. Because Akbar versus Negotiator is one hell of a tough fight. So I don't recommend ever putting your best offensive fleet on defense. Doesn't matter what it is. Maybe you don't have Negotiator, but you have Malevolence. Don't put Malevolence on defense. Maybe you don't have either of them, but you have the Finalizer and the Radis. Don't put one of those 2 on defense. You need your best offensive ship with you to take out whatever they set. So that's how fleet works in my mind, at the very least. Now we go into the ground teams. So the main thing to keep in mind is what the person you're facing can set on defense. You always have to think worst case scenario. The best teams in the game right now, what we have is we have Gas, we have Darth Revan, Jelena Revan, Padme, and Grievous. These are basically the top 5 teams you could face. So you have to have a plan for taking every single one of those out. Usually no one's going to put all 5 of those teams on defense, but it's still good to have a plan for them just in case someone decides to be a dick and do it anyway. Generally speaking, you'll probably only have to face like 2 or 3 of those teams. So you're generally overkilling, but overkilling in GAC is not a bad idea because you can actually just break up your teams and get more score, which kind of makes it easier to win actually. So what I like to do is always make sure I have a Darth Revan counter on hand. What I use is Gas, personally, so I'm not going to put Gas on defense. But then sometimes my opponent will keep his or her Darth Revan for offense, and in that case, having Gas on offense is actually great because you can split up Gas and put the clones with Shakti and get 2 great teams. But this is not an offense video. Sorry, I'm going on a whole nother subject. So yeah, Gas is on offense for me. Darth Revan, I don't really have a use for him on offense. And with the way Ferocity works, it's not an amazing offensive squad to get a lot of banners in GAC. And it always messes people up, even when they have a counter, because it's just an RNG fest, honestly. Fighting Darth Revan is an RNG fest. We all know it. So I always like to put Darth Revan on defense. Padme, I honestly have come to the point where I rarely use her on offense but I still keep her just in case, because she is a great Grievous counter. She is also good if someone places a Darth Revan without Malik. I don't have mine set to a level where she can beat Malik teams, but if they said Darth Revan without Malik, she can beat it very easily. So yeah, I keep also Padme for offense. And Jedi Knight Revan as well. Jedi Knight Revan is very useful, and it's a team that you can actually split up with two leads, having Jedi, JKR, and Bastila, each leading a few of the Jedi. So, yeah, that team is also on offense. And then we have Grievous. Grievous, again, same with Darth Revan. It's a team... Sorry. It's a team that's very strong, but it doesn't get a lot of banners just because of the way GG's unique works. With Metalloid Monstrosity, you're doing damage to all your team, so you're just losing banners, which is not a great offensive team. So for that reason, I always leave them on defense, and I usually put them with Watt. Now, a lot of people like to use Watt on offense. In 5v5, I don't see the need for him. He's usually used in either the CLS team to counter gas, which can also be done with 3PO. There's not much of a need for Watt there. And he's also used in First Order or a Bounty Hunter team for taking out Night Sisters. My Bounty Hunters can usually take out a Night Sister team without Watt, so I don't really need him. And my First Order goes on defense most of the time, so they're not going to do much with Watt there. So, yeah, I could show you a few of my squads. So that's kind of the main thing. You have to think, if they put out the best defense they could ever put, do I have enough offense to beat it? If you do, everything else that you don't need can go on defense. Yeah, so this is all my GA teams. What I like to put in the top zone is usually First Order and Darth Revan. No particular reason on that one. It's just always been there, so I never change it. Then I have Newt. Newt is actually a team that some people still underestimate. It can be beaten by JTR, but it loses kind of some banners, and it can even lose the battle completely. And it's gotten me a few defense here and there over the course of all the GAs we've done. So I really like it. The only problem here is that Dooku can't stealth Wampa, so they can't actually just go after him, which is kind of annoying, but I don't have, I can't spare another Separatist to put in there instead of him, so that's just how it works. Now, I also put my Geos on defense because I have no use for them on offense. I did used to keep them for offense for a good amount of time, but I found that I was never using them, so I just put them back on defense because they're just kind of worthless, honestly. Some people say don't put them on defense because people can just meet them with Traya and Scion. So you generally don't even need Nihilus. But to me, that still means that they're wasting their Traya on my Geo, so they won't have it for something else that they might need. I also placed my Night Sisters on defense. Again, they are useful for on offense against Grievous, but they're mostly useful against Grievous with BB-8, and I have only seen that once in GA because as opposed to Territory War, since God, sorry, since it's a mode where you need a lot more teams compared to Territory War, where you only need like 4. Here you need 7 or 8. People usually need their JTR, so it's very rare that you'll see someone put BB-8 with GG in GAC. For that reason, I just like to put my Night Sisters on defense. They're also a team that, when properly modded, can bring out a few defense here and there. Less than Newt from what I've seen, but it's still decent. And then we have GG with Watt, as I said. I just find that Watt makes the team a lot better than using like Droideka, for example, and anyway I have him with Newt, so can't really do anything. So honestly, GG is kind of the only 5th I have for that team. Anyway, and then I have my 2 trash teams because I don't really have enough teams to put on defense, so this is just the trash that goes behind Darth Revan or in another back zone. Because, yeah, that's just all I have left. And, yeah, that's my Darth Revan, which leaves me with all the other offense that you can see there. Yeah, so basically, again, the whole theme of defense is make sure you have enough offense. Yeah, I guess that does it for this video. If you have any questions, you can just let me know. I'll be happy to answer. And yeah, until next time.